If you're half the man you pretend to be, I wouldn't have cheated, my wife told me. A week after our wedding that I spent $50,000 on. Turns out she'd been cheating with my best man's older brother, so I took my brutal revenge. All right, Reddit. So I found out my wife had been hooking up with my best man's brother for 3 months, including at the actual ceremony when my 6-year-old nephew exposed her affair at a family dinner one week after our $50,000 wedding. After I kicked her out, sued them both, things escalated real fast, so grab some popcorn and enjoy the show. I, 32 male, met my wife Caitlin, 29 female, at a company mixer. She was a paralegal at a firm downtown. Pretty, smart enough, laughed at my jokes. We dated for 2 years. My parents liked her. My sister thought she was great. I proposed on a beach in Florida. She cried, said yes immediately, posted it everywhere. Her friends went nuts. We set the date for June. 6 months into planning, I realized I was paying for everything. Venue, catering, photographer, everything. Every time I asked about her contribution, she'd say she was saving for the honeymoon. Made sense at the time. The final bill came to $50,000. My savings account looked like someone had robbed it. But I wanted her to be happy. I wanted the day to be perfect. Told myself marriage was about partnership and investments. The wedding was beautiful. I stood at that altar watching her walk down the aisle thinking I'd made it. Found someone real. Built something that mattered. We got married on a Saturday. The following weekend, we hosted our first family dinner as a married couple. My parents, her parents, my sister Beth with her 2 kids, some aunts and uncles, maybe 15 people total. I'd grilled burgers and hot dogs earlier. My nephew Jace is 6, high energy kid, never shuts up, asks a million questions. The kind of kid who points at strangers and says things like, "Why is that man so fat?" at full volume in grocery stores. Everyone's eating. Normal family Sunday energy. Jace is sitting next to me working on his second burger, kicking his legs under the table. He looks up at Caitlin. "Aunt Caitlin, why were you kissing that man at the wedding?" The entire table went silent, like someone hit pause on reality. I put down my burger. "What?" Jace took another bite, completely oblivious. I saw Aunt Caitlin kissing the tall man behind the white gazebo thing, the one with all the flowers. My mom's fork clattered onto her plate. Beth leaned forward carefully. "Jace, sweetie, what are you talking about?" "At Uncle Hunter's wedding. I went to find the bathroom and I saw Aunt Caitlin and the tall man kissing by the gazebo. He was wearing the same suit as Uncle Brandon. Uncle Brandon, my best man. His older brother Chad was a groomsman, black hair. Same rental tux as everyone else. This 6-year-old just nuked my marriage 7 days in. They were kissing a lot," Jace continued, unbothered. "And Aunt Caitlin's dress was pushed up funny." Caitlin's face drained of color, like someone pulled a plug. Her burger sat untouched. She opened her mouth but nothing came out. Her mom stared at her. "Caitlin, what is he talking about?" "He's 6, Caitlin said, voice shaking. "Kids make things up." "I didn't make it up," Jace said, offended. "I counted to 20 in my head. That's how I knew it was a long time." "Jace, that's enough," Beth said quietly. I looked at Caitlin. Really looked at her. She was gripping the edge of the table so hard her knuckles had gone white. Tears forming. Full panic mode. "Caitlin," I said. My voice came out flat. Too calm. "Look at me." She finally did. Tears running down her face now. "Is Jace telling the truth?" 15 people holding their breath. "Answer me." "It just happened and Everyone needs to leave," I said. "Right now." Beth grabbed Jace's hand. "Come on, buddy, let's go inside." "But I'm not done eating." My parents filed past. Dad squeezed my shoulder. Didn't say anything. Mom kissed my cheek, whispered that she loved me. The aunts and uncles followed quickly. Nobody made eye contact. Her parents tried to approach Caitlin, but I stepped between them. "You need to go. Hunter, let us talk to her." "No." Everybody out. Took 5 minutes to clear the house. I locked the front door. Went back outside. Caitlin was still at the table, head in her hands, shoulders shaking. I sat down across from her. Waited. "It was one time," she said through tears. "At our wedding. We just got caught up in the moment and..." "How long have you been sleeping with Chad?" Her head snapped up. "What? How long?" She looked away. 3 months, she whispered. 3 months. Half the wedding planning. Through dress fittings and cake tastings and seating charts. Through her bachelorette party where she posted photos about how lucky she was. Through the rehearsal dinner where I gave a speech about finding my person. I laughed. The sound came out wrong. Broken. $50,000, I said. I spent $50,000 on a wedding where my wife was sleeping with my best man's brother. If you were half the man you pretend to be, she suddenly screamed, trying to protect herself, I wouldn't have needed someone else. That landed different, like she'd been saving it. I stood up, walked inside, went to our bedroom, grabbed 2 suitcases from the closet, started throwing her clothes into them. Everything. She followed me. "What are you doing?" "Packing your stuff. You can't kick me out. This is my house too." I stopped, looked at her. "Check the lease. Your name's not on it. You moved in 8 days ago. This is my house." Reality hit her face. "You can't." "I can. I am." I dragged both suitcases to the front door, opened it, set them on the porch. "Call Chad. Call your parents. I don't care. Get out of my house. Hunter, please. I made a mistake. We can fix." She tried to hug me. I stepped back like she was radioactive. "Get out." She stood there crying for another minute. Then she picked up her suitcases, loaded them into her car, and drove away. I closed the door, locked it, sat on the couch in the dark, and started planning. Monday morning, I looked up divorce attorneys, found one with good reviews who specialized in family law, called his office, got an appointment for later that week. I took a personal day, drove downtown with everything I had: marriage certificate, the prenup, financial records, bank statements showing the $50,000 I dropped on the wedding. My attorney met me in a conference room and I laid it all out. The affair, the confession at the family dinner, the prenup we'd signed 3 days before the wedding. He went through the prenup page by page, took his time, made notes. After 20 minutes, he looked up and told me this was one of the cleanest cases he'd seen in years. The prenup specifically stated that in the event of adultery, the offending party received nothing. No assets, no alimony, no claims on property acquired before the marriage. Caitlin had her own attorney review it before signing. Everything was airtight. We'd been married for 1 week. No commingled assets. The house was mine. The car was mine. The furniture was mine. The savings were mine. She had no legal claim to anything because of the adultery clause. My attorney said if she didn't contest, we could finalize in 60 days. He'd draft the papers immediately. Then he mentioned something else. North Carolina had alienation of affection laws. Since we got married there because her family was from Raleigh, that gave us jurisdiction. If I could prove Chad knew she was engaged or married, engaged in an affair, and caused the destruction of the marriage, I could sue him civilly for economic damages. The wedding costs, emotional distress, everything. He'd seen awards anywhere from $50,000 to $500,000, depending on the circumstances. Chad sold cars at a dealership, lived with his parents, probably had nothing in the bank. It didn't matter. A judgment would follow him for decades. Garnish his wages, seize whatever assets he managed to get, make his life miserable for years. I told him to do it. File everything. Divorce and the alienation of affection suit. Hit them both at the same time before they knew what was happening. The papers were filed in mid-July. Caitlin was served a week later at her parents' house. She called me that night. "You're suing me and Chad?" she screamed. "Yep. You can't do this." "Already did. The prenup isn't fair. My attorney said we can challenge it." "Good luck. You signed it voluntarily with independent legal counsel. It's enforceable. I don't have any money for an attorney. Should have thought about that before you cheated. I made one mistake. Then deal with the consequences." I hung up. 2 weeks later, Chad got served with the alienation of affection lawsuit at the dealership where he worked, where my attorney's process server walked right up to him on the sales floor in front of customers and other salespeople. Chad called me that afternoon. "What are you doing, Hunter? You're brave for calling me. You slept with my wife at my wedding. So I'm suing you. That's insane. You can't sue someone for that. North Carolina says I can. You'll find out in court. I don't have that kind of money. Then you'll be paying me for the next 20 years. Wage garnishment's a thing. This is crazy. Should have kept it in your pants." He hung up. I felt good. Really good. The divorce moved forward. My attorney said Caitlin hired someone for the divorce proceedings, but they weren't contesting anything substantial. Just trying to delay, asking for extensions, filing pointless motions, typical stall tactics. I went back to work, got into my routine. Gym in the morning, office during the day, home by 6, trying to move forward. About 6 weeks after I filed for divorce, I came home from work on a Thursday and knew something was wrong immediately. The front door was closed but not locked. I always locked it. Always. I stood there with my key in hand, staring at the knob. Unlocked. I pushed the door open. Nothing looked disturbed in the living room. TV was still there. Laptop on the coffee table, wallet where I'd left it. Then I walked down the hall toward the spare bedroom. The door was open. I always kept it closed to regulate the temperature for my collection. Baseball cards, autographed jerseys, game-worn equipment. I'd been collecting since I was 8. Had a Mickey Mantle rookie card worth about $12,000. A signed Babe Ruth ball, authenticated by PSA, worth another $8. A game-worn jersey from a Hall of Fame player's milestone game. Stuff I'd spent 15 years building. I stepped inside, and my stomach dropped. The climate-controlled display case was open. Shelves completely empty. Every single piece of my collection was gone. On the wall, written in black marker, "Let's see how much you care about cardboard when I'm done with it. Try me." I stood there staring. Couldn't move. Couldn't think. Just stared at 15 years of passion and investment vanished. Then I pulled out my phone. Called the police. Then I called my attorney. The cops showed up in 20 minutes. 2 officers. I showed them the empty room. Walked them through what was missing. Showed them the insurance documentation I kept in a binder. Photos of every item, receipts, authentication certificates, everything. "You have any idea who did this?" the older cop asked. "My soon-to-be ex-wife. We're in the middle of a divorce. She's the only other person who has a key." "You sure she still has it?" "I never got it back when I kicked her out." "We'll need to file a report." "You said this collection is insured?" "Yeah, for about $65,000 total." The cop whistled. "That's felony grand larceny. We'll need detailed documentation." I gave them everything. The insurance binder, photos I'd taken of the collection 2 months ago for the policy renewal, receipts going back 15 years, authentication certificates from PSA, JSA, and other grading companies. I had it all organized because that's what you do when you have valuable collectibles. "We'll get someone assigned to the case," the younger cop said. "Don't touch anything. We'll send someone to dust for prints and collect evidence." They left. I sat on the floor in the hallway outside the room. Just sat there. My phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. "Bet you wish you'd been nicer to me now. Maybe I'll sell it all. Maybe I'll burn it. Haven't decided yet. Depends on my mood. You ruined my life, so I'm returning the favor. Sleep tight." I screenshot it immediately. Sent it to my attorney. He called me back in 30 seconds. "Do not respond to that text." I wasn't planning to. "Good. Save it. Forward it to me. That's evidence of theft and extortion. She just handed us everything." Someone from the police department showed up an hour later. Mid-40s. Sharp eyes. She walked through the room slowly. Took photos. Made notes. Asked detailed questions about the collection. The values. When I'd last seen everything. Who had access. "This is targeted," she said. "Whoever did this knew exactly what they were taking. This wasn't a random burglary. My wife. Soon-to-be ex-wife. We'll dust for prints. Pull any DNA evidence we can find. Check the marker for prints and trace. If she did this, we'll prove it." The officer called me 2 days later. We got a match. Multiple fingerprints throughout the room, all belonging to Caitlin Patterson. We also found DNA from the marker used on the wall. Saliva from where she licked it to make it write better. It's her. What happens now? I'm issuing a warrant. We'll bring her in for questioning. The DA will review for charges. Given the value of what was stolen and the threatening text message, she's looking at felony charges. Grand larceny over $50,000. First-degree burglary. Extortion. This is serious time if convicted. Can we get my collection back? That's the priority. Once we arrest her, we'll execute a search warrant at wherever she's staying. If she still has the items, we'll recover them immediately. Caitlin got arrested 3 days later at her parents' house. They brought her in. Booked her. The officer called me an hour later. We executed the search warrant. Found most of your collection in the garage at her parents' house. Stored in boxes. Everything appears intact. We're cataloging it now as evidence. Once the criminal case is resolved, you'll get it back. Everything's there. We're checking against your inventory list. So far, we've found the Mickey Mantle card, the signed ball, the jersey, the bat, most of the smaller cards. We're still processing the scene. Relief hit me like a truck. Thank God. She claims she was going to give it back, that she just wanted to scare you. The text message says otherwise. That's textbook extortion. She's looking at 5 to 10 years. They set her bail at $50,000. Her parents managed to scrape it together somehow. She got out the next day. Big mistake on her part. 2 days after posting bail, I got another text from a different unknown number. "You selfish piece of trash. You put me in jail over some stupid baseball cards? You couldn't just let it go? I hope you choke on your precious collection. This isn't over. The second I get the chance, I'm coming for everything you care about." Screenshot. Forward to my attorney. Forward to the police. The officer called me within an hour. She just violated her bail conditions. She's not supposed to contact you directly or indirectly. This is a clear violation. I'm notifying the DA and the judge immediately. The arraignment had already happened the week before. Caitlin had been assigned a public defender who tried to argue she should be released on her own recognizance, that she wasn't a flight risk. The judge had set the $50,000 bail instead. Now the prosecutor filed an emergency motion for bail revocation, cited the threatening text message sent while she was out on bail, demonstrated ongoing criminal behavior and disregard for court orders. The hearing happened the next morning. The prosecutor read both text messages in open court, the one from before her arrest and the new one from after she'd posted bail. Your Honor, the defendant stole $65,000 in property from the victim. She then sent him a threatening text message, indicating she might destroy said property. After posting bail, she violated the no-contact order by sending another threatening message. This demonstrates ongoing criminal behavior, disregard for the law, and disregard for this court's authority. The state requests immediate revocation of bail. The judge looked at Caitlin. Ms. Patterson, you were explicitly ordered not to contact Mr. Patterson directly or indirectly as a condition of your bail. You violated that order within 48 hours of your release. This court takes such violations seriously. Caitlin's public defender tried to argue. Your Honor, my client was emotional and made a poor decision, but, Counselor, your client sent a threatening message to the victim after being ordered not to contact him. That's not a poor decision. That's willful violation of a court order. Bail is revoked. Ms. Patterson will remain in custody pending trial. Caitlin started yelling. This is insane. They're baseball cards. He's doing this because I cheated. He can't. Ms. Patterson, the judge said firmly, they're not just baseball cards. They're property worth $65,000 that you stole. You then threatened to destroy them. After posting bail, you threatened the victim again in violation of this court's order. You did this to yourself. Bailiff, remanded the defendant. They took her away screaming. My attorney filed an emergency motion for return of property the following week. The state had my collection. I wanted it back. The judge granted it after reviewing the evidence. The state has sufficient documentation of the stolen property. The defendant has been charged and is in custody. Return the property to Mr. Patterson immediately. I picked up my collection 3 days later from the police evidence room. Everything was there. Every card, every jersey, every piece, all intact. They'd kept it in a climate-controlled evidence locker. I brought it home, put it back in the display case, locked it, added a secondary lock, bought a safe for the most valuable pieces. My 15 years of collecting. Still mine. My attorney filed an emergency motion the same week, requested immediate addition of the theft to the divorce proceedings, sought full restitution, included photos, police reports, insurance documentation. The judge granted it after reviewing the filing. Caitlin's divorce attorney tried to argue it was separate from the divorce. The judge shut him down. Ms. Patterson stole marital assets in retaliation for the divorce filing. It's absolutely relevant. Motion granted. This will be included in the final settlement. Caitlin's attorney looked sick. But the criminal case was the real hammer. The preliminary hearing happened in early October, 4 months after the wedding, about 2 months since she stole my collection. The officer who handled the case testified first, laid out the evidence. Fingerprints throughout the room, DNA on the marker, the text messages, photos of the stolen property, my documentation showing the value. The defense attorney tried to argue Caitlin had legitimate access to the house. The officer shut it down. She used her retained key to commit burglary with intent to steal property worth $65,000. She then sent threatening messages indicating she might destroy it. That's extortion. The evidence is clear. The prosecutor added, and after posting bail, Ms. Patterson violated the no-contact order by sending additional threatening messages. This shows escalating behavior and complete disregard for court orders. My insurance adjuster testified next, walked through the valuation, explained how collectibles are appraised, showed the receipts and authentication certificates I'd provided, confirmed the $65,000 total value. The defense attorney tried to claim the collection was overvalued. The judge didn't buy it. Mr. Patterson provided third-party authentication for every item, grading certificates from recognized authorities, receipts showing purchase prices, insurance appraisals completed by licensed professionals. The value is substantiated. They bound Caitlin over for trial. The DA charged her with first-degree burglary, grand larceny, extortion, and terroristic threats. Combined, she was facing up to 12 years. Her attorney tried to negotiate a plea deal over the following months. The DA wasn't interested. Your client stole $65,000 in property in an act of revenge. She then threatened the victim multiple times, including after posting bail in violation of court orders. She's also facing alienation of affection civil liability. She's demonstrated a pattern of vindictive behavior. We're going to trial? The alienation of affection case against Chad moved forward too. My attorney filed a mountain of evidence. Text messages between Caitlyn and Chad that her phone company provided. The timeline showing the affair lasted through the engagement and wedding planning. Chad's attorney tried to dismiss. Argued alienation of affection was an outdated law. The judge disagreed. North Carolina maintains this cause of action. The plaintiff has standing. The evidence supports his claims. Motion denied. We're going to trial. The legal system grounds slowly. Motions, continuances, discovery disputes, scheduling conflicts. What should have taken months stretched into nearly a year. Both sides filed paperwork. Judges reviewed evidence. Court dates got pushed back. After months of delays and procedural battles, both trials finally got scheduled for the following spring. Criminal case first, civil case after. My attorney told me Chad never responded properly to discovery requests. His attorney was barely trying. I think they're hoping it goes away. It won't. We have text messages proving the affair. We have witness testimony. We have the marriage certificate showing you were married in North Carolina. We're going to win. The question is damages. How much? I'm asking for $200,000, $50,000 for the wedding costs, $50,000 for emotional distress, $100,000 in punitive damages because of the circumstances. The affair happened at your wedding. That's especially egregious. North Carolina juries don't like that. The criminal trial started in late April, almost a year after the wedding. Took 3 days. The prosecution laid out their case methodically. The officer testified, walked through the investigation, the fingerprints, the DNA, the text messages, the timeline, the bail violation. My insurance adjuster testified, confirmed the valuation, explained the authentication process. I testified. That was harder. Had to walk through the collection, explain what each piece meant, how long I'd spent building it, how I'd felt walking into that room and seeing everything gone, reading the threatening text messages. The defense attorney tried to make me look obsessive, asked if I cared more about cards than my marriage. My attorney objected, sustained. But the question hung there. Caitlyn testified in her own defense. Big mistake. She claimed she'd gone to the house to retrieve personal items. Claimed she took the collection to keep it safe during the divorce. Claimed the text messages were sent in anger, but she never meant them. The prosecutor destroyed her on cross-examination. Ms. Patterson, if you were keeping the items safe, why did you text Mr. Patterson saying you might burn them? I was angry. Were you keeping them safe or threatening to destroy them? Both. I don't know. You wrote on his wall, "Let's see how much you care about cardboard when I'm done with it." What did you mean by that? I was trying to scare him. So you admit you were threatening him? Yes. And after you posted bail, you sent another threatening text message in direct violation of the judge's no contact order, correct? I was upset. That's not what I asked. Did you violate the court order? Yes. The jury took 4 hours. Came back guilty on all counts. Sentencing happened 2 weeks later. 5 years in prison. Plus full restitution for the collection's insured value of $65,000. Plus court costs and fees. Caitlyn started crying. Her parents were crying. Her attorney tried to request an appeal. The judge denied it. Ms. Patterson, you committed these crimes in a calculated act of revenge. You stole valuable property. You threatened the victim multiple times, including after posting bail in violation of this court's orders. You showed no remorse until you were caught. The sentence is fair and appropriate. Bailiff, remand the defendant. They took her away. My attorney and I walked out of the courthouse. That went better than expected. She'll serve 3 with good behavior, but the restitution follows her forever. Even after prison, she'll be paying you back. And we haven't even gotten to Chad yet. The alienation of affection trial started 5 weeks later. Civil case. Lower standard of proof. Preponderance of evidence instead of beyond reasonable doubt. My attorney put on our case over 2 days. Showed the text messages. Called witnesses who'd seen Caitlyn and Chad together at the wedding. Showed photos from the wedding where you could see them in the background looking cozy. My nephew Jace even testified. Beth brought him. The judge allowed it because he was the first person to expose the affair. Jace explained exactly what he'd seen behind the gazebo. Simple, honest, devastating. Chad's attorney tried to argue Caitlyn had pursued him, that he was a victim too. The jury didn't buy it. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Came back with a verdict. Liable on all counts. Damages awarded, $75,000. $50,000 for economic damages. $25,000 for emotional distress. Chad went white. His attorney tried to argue for a reduction. The judge denied it. The jury has spoken. Judgment is entered. The defendant will pay $75,000 to the plaintiff. Additionally, I'm awarding attorney's fees and court costs to the plaintiff. Mr. Morrison, you'll be paying for a long time. My attorney filed the garnishment paperwork the next day. Chad's wages would be garnished 15% every month until the judgment was satisfied. At his salary, that would take 20 years. I walked out of the courthouse that day feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. The money started coming in that summer. Caitlin's restitution payments were automatic. 15% of whatever she made working in the prison laundry got sent to me monthly. Around 40 bucks. Barely covered my gym membership. But Chad's garnishment hit different. 15% of his car salesman commission checks added up. First payment was $300. Second was $450. Third month, he must have had a good sales run because I got $700. My attorney called it the slowest revenge. Watching the balance creep up month by month, knowing Chad had to watch his paychecks get carved up for the next 2 decades. Knowing every time he sold a car, I got a piece of it. By fall, I'd collected $8,000 between both of them. By winter, it was $15,000. By the following spring, the total hit $22,000. Still had a long way to go, but the math worked in my favor. I'd recover everything I spent on that wedding. Then, I'd profit. The judgment was $75,000 from Chad. Caitlin's $65,000 on top. That's $140,000 coming my way eventually. I spent $50,000 on the wedding. That left me $90,000 ahead when it was done. The best revenge wasn't the money, though. It was watching my life get better while theirs collapsed. Brandon reached out about 6 months after the civil trial ended. My actual best man, not his brother. He called one night around 8 o'clock. I almost didn't pick up. Stared at his name on my screen for 3 rings. Answered on the 4th. He didn't waste time. Said he was sorry. Said he had no idea what Chad was doing. Said if he'd known, he would have beaten Chad himself and told me before the wedding. Said he understood if I never wanted to speak to him again, but he had to try. I believed him. Brandon and I went back to high school. 15 years of friendship. He'd been there for everything. My dad's heart attack. My first real job. Every major moment. His brother being trash didn't make him trash. We met for lunch the next week. Burgers at the place we used to hit in college. Sat across from each other in a booth. He looked rough. Said the whole thing destroyed his family. His parents barely spoke to Chad. His mom cried for weeks. Chad moved out. Nobody knew where he was living. I told him I didn't blame him. Told him what Chad did was on Chad. Told him we were good if he wanted to be good. He teared up a bit. Said he appreciated it. Said he'd thought he lost his best friend over something his idiot brother did. We stayed friends. Still grabbed lunch once a month. Still texted about games. Still had that history. Some things were bigger than family drama. My actual friends started reaching out around the same time. Guys I'd pulled back from after the divorce. They'd given me space, let me process. But eventually they circled back. Started inviting me to things again. Basketball on Thursdays, card nights, weekend trips. I went, got back into living, remembered what normal felt like. One of those card nights changed everything. We were at my buddy Kevin's place. 6 guys, pizza and cards. Normal evening. Kevin mentioned his girlfriend's friend was coming by later to drop something off. Said she was cool. Recently single. Worked in physical therapy. She showed up around 9. Walked in wearing jeans and a zip-up. Dark hair. Fit. Pretty smile. Her name was Danielle. She knew who I was immediately. Turns out she'd been at my wedding. One of Caitlin's college friends. She'd heard everything. The affair. The arrest. The trial. She looked at me differently than the other people from that time. Not pity. More like respect. We talked for maybe 20 minutes while she waited for Kevin's girlfriend. She asked how I was doing. I gave her the short version. She said Caitlin always made terrible decisions. And this tracked. Said she'd stopped talking to Caitlin after hearing what happened. Said anyone who'd cheat at their own wedding wasn't someone worth knowing. She gave me her number before leaving. Told me to text her if I ever wanted to grab food. We started dating soon after. Nothing rushed. Nothing forced. Just 2 people who liked spending time together. She got me. Understood what I'd been through. Never pushed. Never made me feel like I had to perform or prove anything. My life leveled up fast. Better job offer came through a few months later. Regional manager position. 20% raise. I took it. Bought a new truck that summer. Traded in my old sedan. Got something I actually wanted. Started traveling. Quick trips on weekends. Posted some photos. Nothing excessive, just living life. Danielle was in a few of them. Looking happy. Looking like someone who had his life together. Caitlin saw them. I knew because her mom tried reaching out. Left a voicemail saying Caitlin was having a hard time, and maybe I could show some compassion. I deleted it. Blocked the number. Then Caitlin tried directly. She got released about 20 months after sentencing. Out early with good behavior. She called me from her mom's house 3 days after release. I answered because I wanted to hear it. Her voice shook. Said she'd made a terrible mistake. Said she thought about me every day in prison. Said she wanted to apologize in person. Said she'd changed. I let her finish. Then I spoke. You stole from me, threatened me, tried to destroy things I cared about. Now you're out, and suddenly you remember I exist. That's not change. That's consequence catching up. She started crying, said she had nothing. No job, no money, living with her parents, criminal record following her everywhere. You earned all of that. We were married. That has to mean something. It meant something until you decided to hook up with Chad at our wedding. Then it meant nothing. Still means nothing. I see you're with Danielle now. That homewrecker was my friend. Caitlin's voice got sharp. Said I'd moved on awful quick. Said I must not have loved her at all if I could replace her that fast. I laughed. Actually laughed. You cheated on me for 3 months. Hooked up with someone at our wedding. Stole my collection. Threatened to destroy it. And you're mad I'm dating someone? You're unreal. I'm sorry. I know I messed up. But we could try again. Start over. I'd rather chew glass. I hung up. Blocked her number. That door was welded shut. Chad showed up at my house 2 weeks later. I was loading groceries when he pulled up. Parked on the street. Got out looking rough. Thinner. Older. Worn down. He walked up my driveway like he was heading to his own execution. Stopped about 10 feet away. Waited for me to acknowledge him. I kept unloading groceries. Hunter, he said. Can we talk? No. I need to explain. Don't care. I'm drowning here. The garnishment's killing me. I can barely afford rent. I lost my job at the dealership. I'm working part-time at a warehouse. Every check gets carved up. I won't survive 20 years of this. I stopped. Looked at him. And? I'm asking you to drop it. The judgment. I'll pay you back some other way. Just stop the garnishment. Not happening. Hunter, please. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I know I ruined your marriage. I know I messed up. But this is destroying my life. Good. His face crumpled. You really hate me that much. I put the last grocery bag down. Walked closer. Looked him right in the eye. You slept with my fiancé for 3 months? You hooked up with my wife at my wedding? Behind a gazebo? Where a 6-year-old saw you. You didn't care about me then. I don't care about you now. You'll pay every cent. And if it takes 20 years, great. Means I get to watch you suffer longer. He tried to speak. I cut him off. Get off my property. He left. Drove away. I never saw him again. The math worked out eventually. By the 3-year mark, I'd collected $58,000. Crossed the threshold. Made back everything I spent on the wedding. Everything after that was profit. Every garnishment check. Every restitution payment. Pure gain. I kept the statements in a folder. Watched the numbers climb. Watched the balance shift from red to black to green. 5 years after the wedding, I was up $92,000. New truck. Savings rebuilt. Investment accounts growing. Danielle and I bought a house together. Nothing massive. Just a solid 3-bedroom in a good neighborhood. Built something real. Caitlin was still working minimum wage jobs with a record. Still living with her parents. Still sending me $40 a month. Chad was still grinding at the warehouse. Still watching his checks disappear. Still had 15 years of payments ahead. Brandon and I grabbed lunch every month. Still friends. Still solid. My collection sat in a climate-controlled case in the new house. Every card, every jersey, every piece, still mine. I won. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.